Don't let me go too far off the rails.
Yeah,
I don't want
keep an eye on it.
Don't want to edit this for 2 hours
No,
for a 20-minute episode.
I will. It says hot take. Society's family unit is in crisis as less and less people are making the commitment of a lifelong partnership together. It has been normalized, encouraged, and easier than ever to just throw in the towel when the going gets tough. With time at a premium, start by spending 20 minutes per week gaining thought-provoking inspiration towards a journey of self-improvement, ultimately improving your marriage, your family, your health, and your home. Why do couples fight about money? Why is this a topic that we don't talk about prior to joining our lives together? What is one thing that can ruin a marriage if left unchecked? Today we are going to discuss answers to these questions and 6 basic financial tips to consider in marriage, including a hot take of ours. The topic of money is becoming more and more complex, and couples need to get on the same page with their finances.
Welcome to the Family Order Podcast. Today we're going to dive into a potentially polarizing topic. This topic is vital in a thriving marriage and family life, and it can have long-term implications on your future. What is it? Marriage and finances, of course. When couples tie the knot, they aren't just joining their families and their lives together. They're also linking their finances. We prepare for months for the big day. Flowers for the wedding, dresses, location of the ceremony, music, guests, food, etc. The honeymoon can even be planned fervently. And kids are even discussed in advance, hopefully. But for some reason, people don't tend to desire an in-depth discussion regarding their finances before getting hitched. Finances can be a touchy subject because it doesn't seem to fit the narrative about marrying your soulmate who was destined to be with you in love forever and ever. Real life is often very different, especially after the in-love feeling starts to wane. It can also be a sensitive topic when two people may have completely different spending habits or even incomes. We've seen this amongst our friends. Mm-hmm. Typically, the guy is a little bit more stable before the marriage. You know, maybe he didn't come into the marriage with any debt because he had a great upbringing and parents paid for college, you know, things like that. And the woman or girl was hopping from job to job to job, you know, not making a whole lot, making minimum wage and things like that. So one of the keys to marriage is to get on the same page with finances, which includes your debt, your earnings, your spending habits, etc.
Yeah, because it's not something you necessarily want to bring up when you're still courting.
Dating.
And but it leads to problems later. If you start seeing some warning signs, people later then say, yeah, I kind of ignored some red flags that I probably should have.
Yeah, maybe the guy was like the saver. One of our friends, we joke about him blowing dust out of his wallet because he never opens it. And then, you know, maybe the girl is kind of the spender. You know, she likes to get her nails done, her hair done, shop.
Which that's fine if you can afford it.
Yeah.
If you make good enough money to afford all that and still be able to save, you got your 401k lined up, and all your bills are getting paid, you know, then you can, of course, if you've got some discretionary income, by all means, those things are great. And saving money is not always fun. We all recognize that.
There's a lot of classes and articles that talk about communication in marriage or how to raise kids, but there's not a lot of preparation regarding finances once you're married.
Not a lot of preparation for finances in general.
Yeah.
You have to be a finance major to actually get that.
And it's one of the major reasons for problems in marriage and why couples start to have frequent fights.
And we're not big supporters of splitting finances when married. That's our hot take. There are several reasons for this, and Allie will get back to you on this. I know this is one of your favorites, but we do respect people that handle their own situation how they see fit. To each their own. We always have had a joint bank account and shared everything.
Yes.
That's debt,
since
income.
I was 17 and you were 21.
That's all the debt, income, spending, and so on, which is a little easier for us because we were starting all that out together from the ground floor.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like one of us had already advanced pretty far or one of us had already developed a lot of issues with finances before we got married. So it may sound a little easier, but we built all that up together. So we share the wins, we share the mistakes because we've done them all together. Our parents and family members all did it this way too. They just joined bank accounts. And
from what we know,
it can have its ups and downs too. Well, they probably have a similar, like an offshoot, but it's similar to that model of just you mash everything together. We've all witnessed and experienced many issues with finances in marriage. Think about it. Not having a budget, not having any goals financially, keeping secrets on spending or debt, no general communication on money, as if there's just nothing to discuss here. We got ourselves into financial trouble as well and still struggle to stay ahead of it with the kids, the house, and all the other fun.
We have a lot of fun.
We do. Probably a little too much sometimes.
In episode 11, we discussed ways to save money and setting some financial goals with a budget. We talk about money frequently and are starting to build some momentum again after getting off track. Life happens, right?
Right.
I primarily physically have been the one that pays the bills, meaning like get on the computer and pay the bill.
And it started small when I was working more.
Yes.
And you were home more, and we didn't have that many bills. It wasn't like it was a huge burden.
You've always worked more than me. I've always had more of the extra time to do things like that. So, but we do consider ourselves partners in how we manage the money. And we both literally pay the bills.
Right. We earn the money to pay the bills, and we both together make decisions on, okay, we have some extra, let's pay extra on this, or let's make a decision on that. It's not like one person rules with an iron fist.
Exactly. So we try and learn and make sure that we're on the same page every single week. We both have all of the login information to every single account.
Key tip.
Yeah. And we know where our money is coming in and going out. So if something were to happen to me, Ben would know exactly what day, what bills need paid without so much as a skip.
Right. It's something you don't want to have to worry about when something bad happens.
Exactly. There are no fights about money because we talk about our expenditures and neither of us spends a lot of money overall. And actually, of the two of us, I think considered the spender, but I think that's because I have more time on my hands.
Probably.
And I have the kids, and you know we run errands. I'm the errand runner.
Well, you always get emails about deals.
Yes.
You get notifications. You're looking at this stuff, following things online, where I don't typically do that. So you're more aware of.
Yes.
So this stuff's being thrown at you quite a bit.
So splitting finances is something that we have never really done and don't fully understand, to be quite honest. If you separate the bank accounts, are you afraid to go all in with someone and be fully committed? Is there a large income disparity? And there may be a lack of trust? Who pays for the kids and who pays what bills? It all just sounds too complicated to me and turns into keeping score of who pays for what or whose turn is it. And this is my little funny rant because we will go out to eat with friends and things like that. And we do have friends that split the bills. I don't know that we've ever really asked them why or how. We don't want to pry into people's financial situations. We're kind of throwing ours out there for the public to see, and that's our prerogative. We're not going to ask people, but anybody listening that wants to comment or send us an email or something, if you do it this way, please let me know why. I don't get it. So we'll be at dinner and, our friends will say, oh, I'll get this, honey, or, oh, it's your turn and stuff. And I'm like, and so Ben and I will joke, in kind of a backhanded way. And I'll be like, oh, honey, you got this and stuff. He's like, yeah, I got this. And he'll pull out his card. And it's the exact same bank account. It doesn't matter.
Say I've got dinner tonight. Don't worry.
Yeah, exactly. And stuff.
But these are friends that are married and have kids and have a house together. So.
And so I'm like, whose bank account does the diapers come out of? Whose bank account does the bills come out of? Whose bank account does school supplies come out of? do you guys go Dutch on like the electric bill? Like your
Right.
roommates in college? I don't understand that. I think the other part of that too, especially I think when it comes to like being out and dinner and stuff like that, number one, we don't have to discuss it or anything, is that is your masculine, I guess, authority. When you go out to dinner, the waiter or waitress hands you the check.
Typically.
And you pay for it. Mm-hmm. That's like your masculine authority. You're like, yeah, I'm a man. I'm providing food for my family. And I don't even have to like think about it. I think sometimes like I'll take the thing and like tip or their sign or something like that, especially if we're with the kids or something and we're distracted. But like I don't typically pull out my card to pay for much because it's the same bank account.
Yeah, it just feels like a lack of being a team together because you're still keeping track of
who pays for the baby formula.
Who pays for what? And well, what about the hospital bills for the baby too? Who pays?
Is that
for
the mother's because it came out of her hoo-ha?
And then you've got insurance and benefits. Is everybody on the one, but yet you're still separating out bills?
That just seems so complicated to me.
Well, and I think it probably bothers you because it seems like in some cases it can lead to trouble because you start having a fight and eventually it's going to come up who earns the most and who pays most of the bills. Yep. And I think that's something
Is there like a percentage formula that you do? Like, oh, you make 75% of the income, I make 25% of the income, but we split the bills 50-50.
So
that
what if somebody gets a raise and now you got to recalculate?
I'm like, that seems so complicated. And on the other hand of that, do people actually discuss it? Are they like that would warrant more discussion to me than even what you and I do on a weekly basis when it comes to bills?
Well, I think in both cases it could lead to an issue of whoever's making the most money can get taken advantage of a little bit.
Exactly. Oh, we had another friend who his ex-wife now, what she made, which was minimal, was just fun money.
Right.
He paid for everything.
And that's okay, I guess, if that's what they want to do, but it can backfire later.
I would feel bad as a wife.
It would, everybody wants to feel like they contribute something. They have some say-so in how the money's spent, but if you don't earn much, don't pay a lot of the money, do you feel like you really have a lot of authority over any of that? But anyways, we digress. This is something we'll touch back on as well. Here are some general tips we have that can help many people out there that maybe aren't quite sure how to make improvements to their finances as a couple. And keep in mind, this is not an exhaustive list of everything out there, but we think it's a good start. So first tip is to review your credit and debt history together. That's right, together. And this can happen before the marriage ceremony or after, but it needs to happen.
Oh my gosh.
And
preferably before.
I would think so, but most people don't. Especially if you got married young like we did. There was really not much to talk about with finances, but we really need to make sure we're on a team. You know, we share the bad credit scores. We share the student loan debts as well as earnings. Again, this is where there could be a disparity and somebody may feel taken advantage of. So we do prefer to do this before the wedding. That's what would be our top suggestion. You shouldn't get married to someone then find out later that they have massive debt. So it removes those surprises. Also, discuss your financial goals. That's the second tip. This should happen weekly, but you need a larger goal that you're striving to achieve. This is especially important regarding large decisions like home loans, vehicles, or having children.
If you take a look at our Facebook page, we actually have a goal-setting worksheet on our group page that you can download. And this is the exact resource that Ben and I developed and we use on all of our goal setting, whether that be health or business or financial. And it's a great resource. It sets you up for your 5-year goal, which ours is financial freedom. And then it breaks that down by year and quarter. And then monthly, actually, even so. So absolutely great resource. Go over to our Facebook group page and you will see that resource there. It's a fillable PDF, super easy to use.
And keep in mind that with any discussion we're having around budgets and goals, those are great to have, but you have to follow them.
Mm-hmm.
Just talking about it and writing it down doesn't actually do any good if you splurge and keep blowing your money. So the third tip is to joint or not to joint. Decide if you will have a separate or a joint bank account. This can be at your own personal preference, and you can do a hybrid. The separate part could be an allowance system. The joint part can be everything else. We don't completely follow the allowance method, even though we've tried it, but we recognize it can work for some.
I'm keeping my mouth shut.
Yeah, I understand.
Number 4, develop a budget. This is weekly, monthly, and quarterly. Annually is a little bit too big, but you can at least have a bigger goal in mind that you are headed for directionally. We actually have our budget in our Google Drive, and it is a share file that I update every single week, just from paying bills, what's coming up. So basically, to give you an idea, we survive completely off of Ben's income. We are so blessed with his job and what he has worked for and worked towards that we are able to survive solely off of his income. I say survive. We are able to thrive and meet our financial goals, which are lofty, with what I bring in. So every single week I go through, and the first paycheck of the month that Ben gets pays these bills. The second paycheck of the month that Ben gets is these bills. We are able to go through that, and I work months in advance just to see what's coming up. And then we'll add things in there, like, oh, we had tree trimming done, that's $350. Oh, we had to renew our passports, that's $220. Things like that are on there as well. Getting service done on different whatchamacallits and stuff. It's in our Google Drive. It's shared. It's updated. Ben can pop in at any time and look at it. Obviously, he can pop into the bank account at any time and look at it as well. But that also leads us into tip number 5. You need to delegate who's in charge of the finances. So it is a team activity, but ideally you should have the person with more experience and history with handling finances as the one who is physically paying the bills, updating the document in the drive and making sure that all the accounts are set up and things. You should both know what's coming in and going out. Otherwise, you can't improve your situation. And if something bad happens, one of you can still handle the budget, which we touched on earlier.
Right.
And lastly, number 6, get financial advice. This could include taxes, investments, debt, and much more. It's okay not to be a financial expert, and this is where you can outsource the task to someone with more experience. This investment is definitely worth the spend. We met with a financial advisor a couple years ago just to see which direction we should go, but we will definitely go back to him when we are in a better situation to invest our money.
Remember overall that you're still a team, and you should have goals that are raising the bar. Finances are a huge part of improving your lives together, but it can be difficult for people that aren't accustomed to having these conversations. This can make money something that you don't have to fight about, and will make it much easier to focus instead on the priorities in your life that do make you happy. It can be uncomfortable or even a sensitive topic, but it will pay off long term. Things will change, and you'll just have to roll with the punches. Establishing good money practices early in a marriage is vital and will lead to more stability and a fulfilling marriage.
This week's call to order is to set quarterly goals together and start having a marriage meeting each week. Review your goals and how you're performing versus those goals. It doesn't need to take long. 5 to 10 minutes is sufficient, especially as you gain momentum. Make sure you come prepared to have a meaningful discussion and keep it positive. Don't point fingers or get defensive. We are all human and we all make mistakes. Stay on top of it and you'll look back and wish you would have started sooner. If you're ready for your marriage and family dynamic to thrive and not just survive, all it takes is 20 minutes or less joining us each week. It begins with a journey of self-improvement while you sit in the carpool lane, commute to work, squeeze in a workout, or get halfway through folding that laundry pile. Be sure to check out the blog at thefamilyorder.com and follow us on social media at The Family Order. If you're ready to start your journey, be sure to click subscribe so you don't miss new episodes every Monday.